Hi, everyone, and welcome to Discovery's Chats with Changemakers. I'm your host, Tiffany, and I'm an 11th grader in Texas. I participated in Discovery's Future City competition when I was in middle school. Each month, I welcome a different guest from the engineering community. Today, I'm chatting with Kameelah Majied. Kameelah is a mechanical engineer and a member of NSBE, which is the National Society of Black Engineers. Kameelah, welcome. We're so excited for you to join us today. So Kameelah, I understand you work at the healthcare company Merck. Can you tell us more about Merck and your role there?
Wonderful. Well, Tiffany, thank you so much for having me. And thank you, Discovery, for doing such an amazing session. This is great. Engineers love to talk to students and have wonderful hosts also. So at Merck, I've been at Merck for a number of years, and Merck is one of the the largest global pharmaceutical and healthcare companies. And we make life-saving or life-enhancing products. So they could be cancer products. The people who have cancer, they will, feel better. We also have cardiovascular, we have heart conditions, and many other things. Our job is to extend and enhance human life. So we make a lot of great products.
So can you describe some of your responsibilities as a plant manager?
Oh, wow. How much time do you have, Tiffany? I've got a big of responsibilities. Okay. So as a plant manager, my job is to manage all of the supply that comes into our plant. We have lots of workers that actually have different roles and responsibilities, and it's their job to work as a team. We give them a plan, right? And we say I'm going to use an example. We've got to get this bottle of healthy stuff, tablets made. So the idea is to have a number of people, and in my particular plant, we have upwards of almost 1,000 people that work there. Everybody's job, from the people that clean the facility and keep it clean, from the people who work the machines, from the people who put containers like this together, and people who actually stand and make sure that it looks like what it should be when it gets to you or your family's home. So it takes a lot of teamwork. It takes a lot of communication and a lot of very smart people that love working together.
That's awesome. I always wondered where the drugs at the pharmacy came from.
Well, I'm telling you, it's people just like you and I, lots of people from around the world that make it happen. They are literally change makers, if we want to use that same term, but they literally work together on great teams to make it happen.
So what kinds of equipment do you use in your facility?
The question is what kinds of equipment we don't use. All right, so let's see how I can describe some of our equipment. So first things first, if you can picture now, I just covered these because this is someone else's product. So I'm going to open this. We need equipment that can take caps, covers, all different shapes bottles, right? That can actually put them in a big bin, tussle them around, blow air through them, make sure that they're clean, and then send them on a conveyor line. So if you can imagine things lined up on a conveyor, and then some of the equipment is actually robot arms. They pick and place. So just imagine a robotic arm picking up this, well, imagine this is off, picking this up, placing it on here, making sure it's corked, and sending it all the way down to the next piece of equipment. Imagine just how we as people could stand together and lock arms, or I lock my hands like this together. This is how the equipment works. In order to get this down the line, you need probably 1, 2, 3, maybe about 5 or 6 pieces of equipment that work together to actually get this off the line at the end of the day. So it could be robotic arms, like I said, conveying systems. It could be pick and place units. It could be cartoners. If you've ever opened up something like this and you see cotton in it, there's actually a machine that pulls the cotton, cuts it precisely, sticks it in, and pushes it down the line. So I'm talking about so many different types of equipment. And if I can just show you one more thing, because I love demonstrating, sometimes you have something called slats, where in this case, it's a tablet. It actually, imagine my finger is the slat. It runs all the way down and goes bloop, and drops right in the bottle. So when I tell you there's lots of equipment in a standard plant facility, there's tons.
That's amazing. And I'm sure that really helps you have such a large volume of production.
Oh yeah. So I'm telling you, at any given time, it could be thousands of things coming off the line. If you think about it, there are many people that have all different forms of cancer, that have all different forms of heart disease, all different forms of other ailments that they need. And we've got to make sure we, as other global healthcare companies, they have to make sure that we're able to produce those in X amount of time to get them on trucks and over to pharmacies so that the pharmacist can dispense it and it gets to your home. I should also add that in addition to medicines for humans, for people, guess what? Merck also has an animal health division. Oh yeah, we are one of the top companies that actually make a lot of wonderful life-saving products for animals. So you think about it, horses, well, I was gonna say bears, not bears, but horses, dogs, cats, you name it, household pets. We make so many products. So I must mention that we have an amazing animal health division.
That's awesome that you're helping so many different people and animals. So what are the basic steps in pharmaceutical manufacturing?
Okay, I think I touched on some of them before, but I can actually add some areas that some people may not think about. So before you actually make these tablets, I'm going to actually demonstrate two things, right? So before this becomes a tablet, those who aspire to be scientists sit down, they come up with the right formula, they talk to their local healthcare authority. Now in the United States, we have something called the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, and they give the okay and say, all right, that formula works, you've tested it, there's proof that it could help people with whatever ailment that they have, and then the scientists go on their way. Now, what happens with that, they're able to mix the formula together in some sort of chamber. Before this is formed into a tablet, it's actually like a powder. And then that powder, depending on the size and shape that you desire, gets pressed, and I'm going to come a little closer, gets pressed into this nice little circle. Now, as you know, if you've taken vitamins, if you've taken headache medicine or fever medicine, any type of tablet form, it could be any shape. It could be a circle, it could be a square, it could be an oval, it could be a triangle. I've seen it all. And that's part of how the product itself is made. So as I described earlier, once we get into these tablet forms, they go down slats and they fit. Uh-oh, I missed. Let's try and Kameelah get it again. Hold on. Boom. Okay, it goes in the bottle. Now, the other part of the pharmaceutical process is, guess what? Before you even get to put this product in here, you've got to make sure that this bottle, this cap, or even this size bottle and the cap on it are safe. Safety is one of the most critical parts of what we do in our business. We got to make sure that everything that touches a product and how the product is made and also how the product is stored is safe. So we've got large groups of people that are in our quality assurance and quality control teams that before this thing gets assembled, they go through, they have their list. It could be a list of 3 checkpoints or maybe 30 checkpoints, but they make sure that the componentry and the product is as safe as possible to be packaged, to be utilized before it gets to us. So that's just a glimpse of the process. That's why you need thousands of people at a facility, because everybody has a job to do.
Yeah, that's a really complex system. So we have our first audience question from science teacher Mrs. Fields. Are damaged tops and parts recycled into new caps or bottles?
Mrs. Fields, first, thank you so much for asking the question. And I have a feeling that you're probably one of the best teachers out there. So, Mrs. Fields, let me make sure I repeat your question. Can damaged componentry be reused? Well, I'll have to tell you, it depends on the extent of the damage, right? So if it's a simple bump or if this was crushed, right? The same group that I just mentioned, a quality assurance or quality control group, they have to check what is the criteria for it to be deemed safe. If it is deemed safe, then they can take that, send it back to the component supplier, and then they could possibly reuse the part. Now, here is another angle. If this was exposed to a chemical and it erodes the plastic, for example, you cannot reuse that. Remember, what was the number one thing I said? Safety. Safety is of the utmost importance. So that's the answer to the question.
Awesome. So where do you get your raw materials from?
Guess what? Raw materials come from all over the world. All over the world. You'd be surprised. It's not just one area of the world that makes the best plastics or supplies the best foil. You would be surprised in so many areas of the world we can source raw materials. Raw materials could be different type of polymers to make plastics. It could be different metals to anneal them into foil. It could be absolutely everything. To do the cotton that has to sometimes go in some of these bottles, raw materials can come from anywhere in the world. But again, I'm going to use my favorite word, safety. We have to make sure that wherever the raw materials are sourced from, that it is done in a safe, that it's made in a safe and efficacious environment, and then we are able to utilize it for said product. So raw materials, you'd be surprised anywhere. Although I would say I'm not sure if Antarctica is on the list, but virtually anywhere.
That's really assuring to the public that you take such careful measures so that none of the drugs can cause any problems.
Yeah, Tiffany, that safety is number one, safety.
So how do you distribute the products after they're manufactured?
Well. I'm hoping that everyone that's tuned in have seen those big, large 18-wheelers on the road and also seen lots of planes flying. So guess what? We use planes, we use I would say planes, trains, and automobiles, but that's an exaggeration. But we use whatever transportation means is possible. If our products are coming from, if they need to be delivered to the United States, we have the opportunity to use travel by air. They're flown in, or also they could be shipped in. There's really large sea freight, ships that bring tons of product over from all over the world. So it could be by any means. Now, it depends on the urgency of a particular drug or product. If it's something that's in high demand that's needed and there's maybe a shortage or there's a high demand for it, then sometimes we use air because we all know that airplanes are much faster than boats, right? So yes, it could be by any of those means.
Awesome. So can you tell us more about your career path and how you transitioned from being a mechanical engineer to a plant manager?
Well, it's been a very long but awesome, fun journey. So let me tell you one thing. I love being an engineer. When I was very young, I got exposed to what engineers do. When they first asked me, when I was probably about 12 years old, they asked me, what does an engineer do? I had no idea. But we had a really great opportunity to have engineers that looked like me that said, hey, let me tell you what we do with all those really cool concepts in math and science and technology. And this is what you can do as an engineer. So after having graduated with my first degree, my bachelor's of engineering and mechanical engineering, I did actually work on designing equipment all the time. That was my very first thing I did. So I would go to a plant, I would sit with all of my colleagues and all the folks that worked, the line operators, and we would repair issues that happened on the line. So I would have on a nice Tyvek suit, put on my safety goggles, have my hands covered, make sure that my hair was in the bonnet because safety, safety, safety. And we would apply different innovative solutions to issues that came up on the equipment. Now, I'll tell you this, in order to go from a mechanical engineer to a plant manager, I'll tell you the most important word that you need. It starts with the big letter E, experience, experience, experience. I have had such a wonderful opportunity to work on different types of projects, to work with teams, and to gain valuable experience. So for me to describe this process to you, it's because I worked on small projects to know how to measure this type of bottle and to understand the composition of the plastic and to understand, well, before I broke the seal here, what's it take to put the seal on here, and also to understand how these two pieces actually form and I'm going to reassemble it really quickly. Okay, how this forms a nice cap, right? So it takes practice also. Experience and practice pulled together allowed me to be able to start as a mechanical engineer, learn the basic fundamentals of equipment, learn every part of it, even learn how to reprogram the electrical panel behind it so that when I press that big green on button, it starts going and essentially working. So, but it takes a lot of hard work also and commitment.
Well, that's awesome that you were able to use your mechanical engineering skills as a plant manager to help you understand like the technical details of your operation.
Yes, yes, it was definitely, I tell you, it's a really good experience to be able to have done some of the work and then sit with a really large team and say, all right, now, how are we going to do this as a team? And to be able to give some input and welcome in new ideas also from team members.
So we have another audience question. A
Oh,
class
yeah.
from
I love
a
questions.
class
Okay.
a class from Bell Creek Academy wants to know what you enjoy most about your job.
Bell Creek Academy, I'm saying a hello to you too. I don't know where you're located, but thank you for the question. The most important thing I love about my job is probably a few things. The first thing is the people. If you can't tell, I'm very friendly, I'm very outgoing, and I love working with people. I feel like everybody brings a great, fresh idea, and there's no idea that can't be considered. The second thing I love is teamwork. I think, Tiff, you probably heard me say teamwork maybe about 4 or 5 times thus far, but teamwork is so important. No one person can solve the issue. It takes different ideas, it takes different opinions, it takes different trial and error, and different types of talents for people to work together. So those are the things that I think are quite important, and those are the things that I think make me enjoy my job. And I would say probably the third one that I will share with you is the fact that we create products that really help people smile more, breathe better, be able to spend more time with their families. I don't have pets, but I have many friends that have pets, but I know people that are able to use some of our products for their pets that make them feel better, run around their yards longer, purr a little more, a little more. And I think that's the greatest joy. We want to make sure that everyone is able to just live a really, really fruitful and happy life. And I'm just so happy that I have the opportunity to be just a small part of that.
Yeah, that's amazing that you're able to make such an impact, and I can really tell how passionate you are about your job.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, Tiffany. It's important that when all of you decide what you're looking for in life and what you want to be when you grow up, find something that makes you happy. That's it. If you're not happy doing it, do something else, and it could be anything. You could probably love, a different way to utilize engineering or science or technology, or maybe in another industry. But make sure that the first thing you do is find something that makes you happy. That every time you wake up in the morning, you say, ooh, like me, what problem do we need to solve in the plant today? Or how much product are we going to put out? Those are the things that make me happy. And that's what I think everyone should do as well.
Yeah, that's great advice. Can you share your involvement with NSBE and why it's important to you?
Well, NSBE, and I wore, other side, I forget, we're on this camera. So this is one of my NSBE shirts. So NSBE is the National Society of Black Engineers. And it is an amazing organization. Would you believe this organization started in 1975 by 6 college students and one of their amazing mentors, who we call the architect of NSBE, Dr. Arthur Bond, and also the Chicago Six. And it's an amazing organization. I was able to join NSBE when I was in college, and I became a student leader. Now, I must say the mission of NSBE is to increase the number of culturally responsible Black engineers who excel academically, succeed professionally, and positively impact the community. So when I was a sophomore in college, I got introduced to this organization with such an amazing mission. And not only did I become participative in the organization, but I also learned how to be a leader. And when I would go to conferences and participate in different competitions that they would have, there'll be like science and technology competitions, I was able to see a lot of people from around the world, globally, actually, when we went to conferences, to see what's their journey in studying mechanical engineering or electrical engineering or mathematics or technology. And it was just great. I have continued my involvement in NSBE, and I'm actually a lifetime member, meaning that I am now recognized as someone who's made a lifelong commitment to the ideals and the mission of the organization. So I'm still in leadership. Last year, I served as the National Professionals Chairperson, and now I'm the Emeritus, which means that I advise the Professional Executive Board. So it's been amazing. It's a fun organization. You meet people who are just as excited about STEM as you, and you have so much fun with it.
That's awesome. It really sounds like an amazing organization. So tell me about your favorite project that you've worked on as an engineer.
Oh, wow. I have lots of favorite projects, but I think the one that's probably the most fun and most memorable is in, gosh, if I say the year, you guys are going to guess how old I am. Let's just say many, many years ago, I was able to be part of a project that was going to deliver the first biologic product in the entire global pharmaceutical industry. So this product was called
Wow.
Orencia. Now, it still is on the market. Orencia treats rheumatoid arthritis. Now, rheumatoid arthritis is one of the most severe types of arthritis that cause deformation in people's limbs. So I'm not sure if any of, or you, Tiffany, or anyone in the audience have seen anyone with deformed limbs. 9 times out of 10, they're suffering from rheumatoid arthritis. That particular product saw me spend an amazing amount of time in Puerto Rico, particularly at a facility called Manatee. So I spent probably about maybe 3.5 to 4 years working with a huge team of people to install a multi-million-dollar equipment line that actually completely took the glass bottle and packaged it all the way from beginning to the end into a corrugate box and delivered out. It was the first for the industry. It was so much fun. It was one of the toughest products I ever had. I got to spend, a good part of my time in Puerto Rico, not a bad place, but I worked with an amazing team. I got to be immersed in an amazing culture down in Puerto Rico and learn how to work with people from different cultures to get the product out on the market. And it was fantastic. Very, very memorable, so much fun. And we saved so many lives with that product. So, hey, you gotta love that one.
That's a really cool project, and all your hard work really paid off.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. Great teamwork on that one.
So in what ways do you think your job encourages you to be a change maker?
Ah, wow. To be a change maker, I think you have to just really know how to embrace change and to always welcome that there's another way to do things, and to really kind of think creatively about what you can do tomorrow that's different from what you did yesterday. So I think my job encourages me to be a change maker because in order to really get supply out the door from our plant facilities, and in order to galvanize a whole team together, you have to be able to be open to change, which change means new ideas, a different way of thinking. I'll tell you, Tiffany, even though I've had a long career, great experience, guess what? I don't know it all. I need talented people like you, and all the talent of people that are on the phone now, Mrs. Fields' class, Belmar Academy, everyone. We need engineers, scientists, technologies like you to come in and make us think differently. Come and disrupt the whole thing and say, I've got an idea that's so different, but I believe it's going to really help us innovate and get products out faster, safer, and everything. So I think that my job, my career, my managers, my colleagues encourage me to really be a change maker and to embrace change makers also.
That's awesome. So we have another audience question.
Oh yeah, I love audience questions.
Lizel wants to know how many people you work with.
And what was the question? I'm sorry.
Lizel wants to know how many people you work with.
Oh, Liza, it could be a different amount on every day. Now, I told you how many people are in a plant facility, but I usually start my meetings, I'm looking at the time now, at about 6 a.m., but I have colleagues who are in Switzerland, in Italy, in Belgium, over in Asia, and it could be a different number of us on calls at different times. Actually, earlier today, I was on a call with probably about 25 persons. So it changes. I have a core team that I work with, but then there's different teams that do different things because, again, to get the product out the door in the plant, you've got to talk to people in quality, you've got to talk to procurement, the people that buy the components, you got to talk to the people that sell the components. There's a lot of people that you work with. So at any given time, it could be any number of people.
Yes, I'm sure communication is very important.
Oh, yes.
We have another audience question. Kylan wants to know how many hours a day that you work.
Oh, Kylan, you had to ask me that question. Okay. Well, I'll say, I think on a given day, I probably work about 12 hours a day. Now,
Wow.
only required to work 8 or 9 days, but sometimes I feel like I just want to go the extra mile. send an extra email. And what I actually do, I use a lot, well, I've got a couple apps on my phone, and I use it to keep myself as organized as possible, to make sure I take some breaks in between and to make sure I'm having healthy snacks. But sometimes it could be 12 hours, but that doesn't mean that you have to work that many hours. There may be some days where it's a little shorter, but the most important thing is to manage my time.
So what do you do when you're not at work? What are your hobbies and interests?
Oh man, Tiffany, we could be on here another 2 hours. Okay, I'm gonna put the secret out to everyone. All right. Actually, so believe it or not, everyone, I am a musician. I love music, love music. So way back when I was in 4th grade, I actually learned how to play the B-flat clarinet. Yes, I was in the band. I hope there's other persons that love music also. So I learned to read and write music at a very young age, and I continued it forward. And then I also became a singer as well. So outside of work, I really enjoy music. I love all types of music. I actually have a band that I perform with at times.
Wow.
Outside of COVID, prior to COVID, we did a lot, but it's great balance. It's great fun. I'm also a member of my sorority, which is the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And we do a lot of community work. We do work with, elementary schools, high school students. A big part of what we do is community service. So it could be anything, mentoring, it could be collecting, goods for the homeless. It could be collecting food. It could be teaching skill building. It's so much. Outside of that, I love to bake. My family says that I'm a pretty good baker. I make, peach cake, banana cake. I make a lot of different stuff, but I try to do as much as possible and stay active. So that's just a few things I do.
Yeah, that all sounds like a lot of fun. Well, I believe that that's all the questions we have time for today. Thank you, Kameelah, for joining us today.
You're more than welcome. All the best. And thank you, Tiffany.
And thanks to all of you for tuning in. Be sure to join our next Chats with Changemakers in February during Engineers Week. Tune in on Thursday, February 24th at 12 p.m. Eastern for a special Introduce a Girl to Engineering Day chat with 2 engineers who work on the James Webb Telescope. See you next time.